νομίζω κάνει φοβερή δουλειά στην Ομόνοια.
And we call taxi, and with Kilian I opened the door behind, I put him in the taxi, and I close the door, and I want to go inside, and Kilian go out.
You're gonna get someone messaging you afterwards saying, "Why did you mention me?"
Hey, fuck them.
She say, I cry because you are here today.
Πάμε σιλάκα μου φτιάχνε μαύρεγα από τα μέσα.
Welcome to another edition of the No Chof Des podcast on the OLB. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your NOUNA if she's bothered. I'm your host, Stel. I've got Roy again. Ray, Joe, I can't remember the last time we did a show together, man.
Yeah, it's been some time. I don't remember.
How you doing, man?
Yeah. I'm good, man. I mean, after the Sunday's results, I was disappointed, but I'm not going to say that I didn't expect that. I was hoping for maybe a different reaction, but it was more of the same that we've been seeing since the beginning of the season. We did the pod with Chris, so if anyone wants to know what we thought of that game, they can go back and watch it. Okay, Monday is always a difficult day to go back to work beginning of the week. Today was a bit more relaxed, and after last night when Green, it's an opportunity to talk a little bit more. Actually, you know what? Today's show is going to be for the followers and the viewers. So you can lead the way with your input, with your questions, with your τα μηνύματα σας. Και να είμαστε εδώ να κάνουμε μια όμορφη συζήτηση παρέα, να προσπαθήσουμε να είμαστε όσο πιο ήρεμοι μπορούμε, να μην είμαστε πολλά, ξέρεις, extreme στις αντιδράσεις μας, για να μπορούμε να έχουμε έναν ωραίο back and forth με όλους. So everyone's welcome to jump on the show.
Absolutely. And look, we've got the comments, we've got the link if you want to join the stream. We've I call this, or should I say we call this the therapy session, because while there's so many different platforms on social media, you've got Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, everyone's got an opinion, but no one really airs their opinions. Do you get what I'm saying? No one wants to actually talk about certain things and discuss it in the open. There's radio shows, there's everything like that. But we are the Omonoia fan channel. We are the alpha channel. Don't forget that, right? And while Roy and I and Chris have been doing this for close to 2 years now, Roy. Close, about a year and a half, Dora. Jesus.
For me, it's a year. It's almost a year. It's a year.
There you go. So a year and a half as a collective, we've been doing this. And, we know there are players that watch this. We know that the administration watches this. We know that rival fans watch this. We know that certain media outlets watch this. And I think it's only right that this episode, and we're going to do this more often, is an opportunity for fans to vent, to share their thoughts on the club and certain matters. And the first matter we're going to discuss, before we get Bedro on, because Bedro is already ready to jump on, we'll very briefly talk about what happened on Total Green last night with Andrea, who, might add, the first thing I have to say is he's got balls to go on that show, right, and face the questions that many people wanted asked. Right, that I got to give him that. Tip my hat off to him, and he said a lot of things that I guess have led to even more questions than answers. Roy, wouldn't you agree?
Listen, in all honesty, and with all due respect to the guys there, I didn't expect to hear something yesterday. Why? Because knowing Andreas, and I do respect him, and I know him since he was a kid. We might not be very close, but we know each other. His job is to protect Omonoia, and he represents the club. It's not his personal opinion there. Okay, ο εκπρόσωπος τύπου, εντάξει, ο Ανδρέας είναι υπεύθυνος επικοινωνίας, είναι διευθυντής της επικοινωνίας, είναι απλά εκπρόσωπος τύπου, οπότε αν κάνει και εκείνος, δημιουργά και εκείνος το επικοινωνιακό το κομμάτι. Αλλά I didn't expect news in the sense, like you said, usually this thing gives birth to more questions rather than answers. And on the one hand, I understand that you cannot answer to all the questions for many different reasons. It's mostly to protect. There's legal reasons. There's a lot of other things. You cannot, κουβέντες του καφενέ. Ας πούμε σαν τώρα να βγάλουμε κόσμο, ένα λιώνας μα άκουσα το τούτον, άκουσα το άλλον, μα είπε μου το κάποιος τσίνο, and that's okay because we don't represent Omonoia officially. We're not affiliated to the board.
We've got no legal obligation. Yeah. We're not. Yeah, we're just a fan channel. That's what it is.
Yeah, if people come and say their opinion on this show, it's not the same when you are μες στο συμβούλιο ή μες στη διοίκηση. Πρέπει να προστατέψεις την ομάδα, πρέπει να είσαι διπλωμάτης, έχει νομικά πράγματα που είναι μέσα. Μπορείς, ας πούμε, να στείνεις τον τοίχο είτε τον προπονητή, είτε τους παίχτες, είτε οτιδήποτε άλλο. Αλλά σε γενικές γραμμές, usually with these things you have to read between the lines and try to understand through the vague answers being given or the diplomatic answers. You try to understand what they're trying to say, because a lot of time they say things but they don't say nothing,
Yeah, I know what you mean, but there was a lot said on the show. The first half hour, 45 minutes was about the game against Apollon, which you guys discussed, and we're not going to go into that. But yeah. Andrea, then I didn't watch the whole thing. So the main takeaway that I got from this was, first of all, Henning Berg is responsible for the targets. So any names that he has, he can send it over to the powers that be, and they do their level best to sign players. That's the first thing I gathered. The second, as you quite rightly said before we went live, about the contract situation. Our contracts aren't being done yet, or they're in the process of being, I don't know. And what was the other one? It's completely got my head now. See, it's just flown out of my head. He said about Berg. He said about the contracts, and he said
about Larku that for the time being they're not going to bring someone else in, and they're going to wait till the end of this year to reassess the whole situation and see how they're going to move forward for the beginning of next season.
Oh, and the financial structure is stronger than it was last season. And if more funds are required to be made available to buy certain players, he said, Yadioi, basically. Yeah. So those are the main things. Now, before we go into, because I know Pedro's been waiting, and we'll get him on in just a moment, but the first thing I will say, and I know people are going to say, oh, I don't agree with what you're saying, Stel, and you're just saying this to protect him. But I honestly believe, hand on heart, that whoever asked Andrea or told Andrea to go on that show, they threw him under the bus. Because it's a case of you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If he doesn't say anything, people are going to moan. If he says something, people are still going to moan. Now, on the flip side, right, I don't know. Again, this is conjecture. I don't know if he was told to say certain things, especially when it came to Henning Berg's responsibility for transfers. And in that sense, Berg's been thrown under the bus as well. That's my honest opinion. Like I said, it's conjecture, it's not fact. This is my opinion.
I agree. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, you have to try and read between the lines, and knowing Andreas and how careful he is, because Andreas has been there for over 10 years in Omonoia in a lot more difficult situations and times for the club. And there were times that he, by himself, represented the whole club and had to absorb all the pressure. And he was held responsible at times for not giving the answers. So for him yesterday, I think it was a piece of cake, or the first time the last couple of years when he was put in a difficult position, because don't forget the last couple of years we were champions, we were first, we were playing in Europe, and in fairness and big up to him, he didn't show his face a lot. He didn't, want to NFL να διεκδικήσει και εκείνος την επιτυχία όλων των πραγμάτων. Τόσα χρόνια ο Ανδρέας απορροφούσε πάρα πολλά δύσκολα εποχές για την Ομονία. Του τη φορά και τα τελευταία 2 χρόνια δεν βλέπεις τον Ανδρέα. Δηλαδή δεν έρχεται να πει κοίτα τόσα χρόνια που δεν κερδίζαμε, ήμουν για μέ και τώρα που κερδίσαμε ένα χαλμίλο κάθε μέρα. Αλλά ναι, χτες ένιωθα ότι and they could have been a bit more diplomatic when it came to the questions about the possible signings of the team and why they're being. We haven't signed a player yet. They could have said the same copy paste answer they give all the time. Να κάνουμε υπομονή, η ομάδα προγραμματισμού εργάζεται, είμαστε σε διαπραγματεύσεις, προσπαθούμε να βρούμε something like that. If you just point a finger and say, it's basically όλη η διοίκηση, όλοι μες στην Ομόνοια, οι οπαδοί, οι σικιάες, περιμένουμε από τον Μπέρκ και ο Μπέρκ τον κοφτεί.
Do you know what? If he turned around and said, for example, it's January, it's the time of season or the time of year where clubs are desperate to sign players and clubs don't want to sell, so they ask for more money and it's not within our financial budget, I'd accept that. But the fact that it was said that Henning Berg is in charge of the transfer targets, on the one hand, I'm thinking that's really frustrating because surely Henning Berg has his targets. But on the flip side, it's like, well, did he not have transfer targets in the summer? Did he not have a list of players that he wanted to sign? And did we miss out on these players? Was he held back? Has he been held back now? Again, there are more questions than answers there. Shall we get Pedro on to share his thoughts?
Yeah, but let's just try and keep it a bit, short and sweet, so we give the opportunity to others as well and get the comments, because we don't want to.
Absolutely. So as Roy's saying, guys, put your comments on in the comments section, and we'll bring them up on screen and we'll discuss them. So if you want to jump on, the link is at the top. Pedro, sorry to keep you waiting. Filemo, how you doing? How you doing, mate?
Today, okay.
Right.
I'm not gonna be swearing today. I'm not gonna be saying anything. I'm gonna
keep it It's down. A therapy session, my friend. Let it out.
I had my therapy on Sunday.
Repent. Church is in session. Testify.
No, church. Who gives a beep about church?
Come on.
Our only temple is Omonoia temple. That's it. Finished.
We're just waiting for you to tell us your thoughts on Total Green. Like I said, this is therapy, man. Just let it all out. Let it out.
Still, έχω παράπονο πρώτα απ' όλα που σένα. Έχει που era 5 που περιμένω, ρε κουμπάρε. Να μου του την κατάσταση. Αυκίζαμε, κάνουμε ένα podcast 4-5 ώρες.
Listen, I'm not having this. This is Gibrey, right? And Missy Chaliers, we don't know about Greek time. Yeah, so when we say we're leaving, we leave out the door and we're gone. Esis, you stand on the veranda, you have your kuvendes, and you talk about stuff that you could have spoken about 10 minutes ago. You get in the car, they come to the car, they look at you at the baratero, they have kuvendes, and as you're leaving, they're chasing the bloody car behind. Come on, man.
So, I did not watch Total Green last night, and it was the first thing that popped up in my YouTube account. I didn't have the guts to watch it, to be honest. I didn't want to watch it. And this morning I was going to work and I was listening to the radio, and most of the things were about last night's Total Green. Long discussions, and I hated that. I didn't want to listen to that. But unfortunately, by midday, because it was on and on and on all day in all stations, in all sports shows, in the end, I heard this situation that Andreas Dimitriou said about that it's up to the technical leadership of the team that we didn't sign players yet, if I'm correct. If what was transmitted through the radio is what was said, I don't know about that. I don't find it fair for Berg, to be honest. And also, at the end of the day, yes, Larko left, but someone else stayed back. It's not that you're smiling there.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Didn't someone stay behind when Larko left? Larko was not by himself, was he?
Are you going to mention any names?
We all know who it is.
Well, come on, say it.
Come
on, listen. If you're going to a psychologist, right, and they lay you down on that black sofa, right, on the, and you're lying down, and they ask you to reveal all, talk. Come on, you're not getting sued.
Yeah, but then they show you that picture that looks like an elephant, and you call it an orange, So I don't want to call the elephant an orange. The elephant is an elephant.
But you're not addressing the elephant in the room, yeah?
We know the elephant. Fuck that. So, yeah, I don't understand why say the technical leadership. I mean, it's not like the scouting department disappeared when Larko left. Someone else was there. And that someone else was saying on Total Green at the I don't remember if it was at the end of the year or the beginning of the year, that they had over 2,000 resumes of football players that were offered to Omonoia, and they were going through them.
But listen, I can say this for now, right? I've spoken at great length about what I do as a job, right? And there are times where I'll be lying at home on my bed, in bed, and I'd get a WhatsApp from a football agent saying, Buffon need a left winger, Omonoia need a right winger. This one needs that. And I'm sitting there thinking, what the fuck is going on? Surely this stuff needs to be, kept under wraps. So it wouldn't surprise me if Omonoia have received a resume of thousands of players, because you got players all over the world with agents all over the world, right? Oh, we want to get rid of this player. We want him to go here. And for some reason, they think that Cyprus is the perfect place to send them. Send them to fucking Ukraine.
Yeah, you're right. And at the end of the day, we did not sign 2,000 players this summer. Where's the remaining 1,990, 99, 95?
And but so what you're saying is our problem stems from the summer. Is that what you're saying?
The summer, and I think maybe someone has been having his legs cut off and that they can't move. And I'm seeing Berg as the scapegoat. And I'm going back to you saying maybe Berg is playing the 4-4-2 intentionally. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on now? I mean, what is there more happening inside the club besides Larko leaving at the end of the day? I don't know. Now Johnny's is going to be leaving for about 1.5 million. And so now we're going to need, they were talking about 2 players today that we're going to need. And you were saying the other day that you don't want to go in Europe. Yes, okay. I said it last week. I don't think we're going to win the championship. When we beat Olympiacos, I came on and I said, we're not going to take the championship, but I don't care about the championship. But at the same time, I don't want to be taking like όπως τον παλαβό να ρεζιλεύκουμε που τον κάθε καθυστερημένον ορνήθαν, φύγαν, κουνέλιν, παρπατούσαν που έχει μες στην Κύπρο που παίζουν μάπα. Έγινε ρε φίλε μου. Yeah, okay, maybe we don't want to go in Europe, but I won't be taken as a ridicule from those fuckers.
Let me ask you something then, but just a very quick one because we need to move on because Mario's waiting now as well. So sorry, mate. You've had your 8 minutes. You've had your 8 minutes. 8 minutes of therapy.
I'm not paying though.
Αυτή τα λεφτά στη secretary μας έξω τώρα που να φύγει.
Εμπειρώνω μακύρα ρε κουμπάρε. Κάνει.
All right. One quick question, Pedro. Right. We know that there's a lot of players out of contract in the summer. Okay. We know that only Fabi, Jan, and Lang. Yeah. So those are 5 players, right? That have renewed. But the ones that haven't renewed yet.
And Lesjak has a contract also. He has because he signed up to 24, isn't he?
We said that
from last year. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that.
So you're not paying attention.
No, sorry, man, I lost you. Sorry.
Right, but so I'm just guessing here that there's going to be a lot of players leaving in the summer. Okay, as a result, because no more contracts have been done. Yada yada yada, whatever. Right. So, are we going to be looking at a complete rebuild now? Because Johnny is on his way out. We're going to get 1.5-2 million euros for the lad, right? I'm guessing that money is going to go back into the club. Do you
1.5 million?
And actually, whatever, right? Do you see that money being spent and bringing in more players, better quality ones? Do you see that happening?
I hope so. Otherwise, next year we're going to be worse.
No. I'm not asking if you hope. I'm saying, do you think?
I think 4 players are going to come for sure. 4.
Okay.
I can see 4 players being replaced.
Right.
That's what I think.
That's
definitely 4.
No problem. Okay, lovely.
I don't know if you agree with me or not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think it'll be double, but anyway, it is what it is. Pedro, thank you for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Pedro, thank you, φίλε. Thank you, πελές πόρτας.
Πελός πριν πόρτας. Εντάξει ρε, να κάνουμε ένα session και να κάνετε αφιέρωμα 5 λεπτά του πελού που εις πόρτας. Να τους ξετοιμάσω όλους και εντάξει.
No problem. Να σε καλά. Bye. Let's get Mario on quickly. Mario, he's making his debut.
Wow.
Look at this one.
Hi, guys.
Look at this boy.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Yeah, we're good, man. Why haven't you gone to Charles Stel to pick up your stuff yet?
Long story. It's a very long story. I'm
What's
sorry
going on?
about that. But
Tell me. Your session is now. It starts now.
a few weeks ago, I went there, and they told I went up, walked to I think it was the secretariat list. Probably not.
Don't talk about that. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
What's going
Following up on the question you asked Petros about the contracts expiring, I think we have a bit of an issue there. I don't think half the players that the contracts are expiring will stay, sadly. I hope we keep Shehu because, in my opinion, he's maybe not the best this year, but one of the best fullbacks, right backs in the league. I wish Eric stays, but with all those injuries he's had in the last few years, he's had living hell in the last few years, despite the championship and all that. So I don't know. I think we are going to have a mass exit this summer. And hopefully with the rebuild, again, hopefully Berg, they trust him again with money, let's say. Most of the transfers we've actually done have been freebies of contract players. And hopefully they trust him like they did in his first season, where he brought all the players that are currently here. I think we have a massive problem attacking-wise. I love Shepard to bits, but this season he's been off fire, sadly for us all. And yeah, I think the team needs a bit of a freshening up.
We've discussed transfers on numerous occasions, and I still can't get my head around how this club is planning for the future. Roy, do you think that they've actually got like a long-term plan, Dora? Do you think they're thinking, well, Berg might not be here, so I don't know there.
Okay, listen, guys. There's πρέπει να είμαστε σε μια κατάσταση που είμαστε κατώτεροι των περιστάσεων, okay? No one expected to see Omonia be where we are, even the most negative fan. The beginning of the season, everyone expected Omonia and they considered us the favorites to win the league. And we as Omonia fans expected to even widen the gap between our contenders because we won it fair and square last season. But this year we had the opportunity to widen the gap and we had the time, we had all the prerequisites, we ticked all the boxes or almost all the boxes. But for that to happen, we should have leveled up with a few players. And also the players that played really well last year should have continued playing to that level, okay? Now, there's two things that you can do. There's certain players that, in my mind, the cycle is closed. And I'm going to try not to mention names because we still have a lot of games to play. We've got the cup. Some of the players are also my friends. And I don't want to, obviously I have an opinion in my mind, but that further makes the point we were saying earlier about Andreas, that sometimes even though you know things, you just want to keep quiet because it's for the best for the team. So I think there's a group of about 10 players. There's also players with contracts that might not stay in the club as well. And I'm not saying they might go out on loan. And I'm talking about goalkeepers, for example. We've got 5 goalkeepers and Kyriakidis and Banagi. I think Kasper's going to leave. So that's the basis to start. I would want to try to keep Shehu because we are lucky, I think, that he got injured and he didn't go to the AFCON because there's going to be a lot of managers there. And if he had a good tournament, it would have made it a lot more difficult for us to renew his contract. So now with this circumstance, which is okay, obviously, and we're not wishing for someone to get
Roy's internet connection.
at least I think that gives us I want to see a bit more before I have before I'm 100% sure. And from that point onwards, you know who's on the list. I would have an honest discussion with them and say, guys, you know, we've got another πόσα έχει τώρα 5 και 10, 15 και κύπελλο. So έχουμε 15-20 παιχνίδια για να αποδείξετε τι μπορείτε να κάνετε. Που για μένα εκεί να φύγει ο Τζονής. Πιθανόν να έρθει πρόταση για όλο Ίζο. Μπορεί να έχει παίχτες που θέλουν να φύγουν που είναι εκτός προγράμματος. Μπορεί να έρθει, ας πούμε, κάποιος και να σου πει θέλω να μείνω άλλο ένα χρόνο και εσύ να υπολογίζεις ότι you know what, so there's a lot of things to bear in mind. I think we have a good core of players, and for me, if we keep everyone we want, maybe 4 or 5 players will be enough. But obviously, if we're missing other players, because what we did last year, we just brought like for like. Even if we had kept Luftner and Thiago and Kusu weren't injured, we wanted a number 10. We wanted a striker. We didn't bring him. And the season started and we started making mistakes defensively, which weren't characteristic of us last year. And then the problem started becoming defensive as well. And then in the midfield. And then it was like the snowball effect.
Yeah.
Where it started with one thing and then a lot of other things being added. Saying that, okay, if we had another 6 points and we were a bit closer, people weren't going to be complaining. Ούτε για τον Μπέρκ, ούτε για μεταγραφές, ούτε για τις κατίνες του Κασιπί, ούτε για ο Ασάκη, ούτε για τον Παπασταύρου. So that's why I'm trying to find έτσι μια μέση άκρη. Να μην είμαστε ακραίοι, ρε φίλε. Δηλαδή αν κερδούσαν τον Απόλλωνα χτες, εντάξει, και κολλούσες άλλη μια νίκη αύριο με μπάεκ, ο κόσμος δηλαδή να μην τα ισοπεδώνουμε όλα, ρε φίλε. Πρέπει να δεις, και ο Μπέρκ, ναι, έκαμε λάθη, αλλά εμπάβει από το να είναι ο πιο σημαντικός προπονητής της σύγχρονης ιστορίας της Ομόνοιας. Έκαμε πολλά άλλα πράγματα, τα οποία, ναι, maybe he's not the best tactician, maybe communication skills are not the best, but he's done a lot of good things. He's changed the DNA, he's brought in young talent. He made a team that's a lot more balanced in the game. You never see us lose our shit. You know, we're trying to be. We fight the games till the end. We don't have a loser's mentality. So
and he's constantly on the touchline coaching today. He's constantly on the touchline. He's not one of these guys that stands there, doesn't do anything. He's constantly talking to players, and this is important, man.
But still, I believe that for us to be in this position and lose 7 games after 17 games, that's appalling. That's you know, and there's still another 15 games. You know, so it's not good enough. I'm not trying to say that we're good, but what I'm trying to say is that if we did have another 2 wins, people would have been a lot more calm. So everyone should take a deep breath, take a couple of steps back, and decide what it is that we want. Because if we're thinking that by sacking Berg and bringing 15 or 17 players next year with a new manager, with a new technical director, and bring players from all around the world who don't know what are the expectations? I think we've witnessed this scenario many times in the previous years, and the results weren't the ones we wanted. Granted, football's changing. Sometimes you have to do that and build a team in the summer. But let's not just shit on everything we built for the past 2.5 years, because this is what we're doing. Είμαστε αυτοκαταστροφικοί. Του τον κάνουμε. Δηλαδή σαν να κάθεσαι, χτίζεις και τώρα που το πιάνεις το τράχτορ και πρέπει να πάει να σύρεις ούλα κάτω, ρε φίλε, ας πούμε.
Right. Well, Mario, listen, is there anything else you want to add, mate? Because we're going to get into the comments in just a moment. Is there anything you want to?
Yeah, I was going to say yesterday, it really worried me, not in the sense of the signings, because if I'm honest, the signings aren't the big thing for me. It's the team. I don't know what happened. Last year, the defensive mistakes were minimal. And it's almost like in one snap of a finger, they are nobodies. They feel like sheep.
Feeling well tomorrow's Wednesday, sorry, Thursday, I'm going to do a stream with Charlie Mitchell, who was the performance analyst with FC Buffer, and he sent me some footage of a lot of the goals that we've conceded. In fact, I sent it to him first, and he went through it. And I tell you what, the statistics that he has, the information that he's told me already, not just what we're going to go debate on the show, just the preliminary stuff. It's scary. It's scary to see how much this team has regressed, honestly.
Yeah, boys. See ya. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you for your time. Cheers.
Have a good night.
Bomba. Right, let's see some more comments. Support Berg. Don't forget what he offered to the team. Yep. Let's have a look. Still, I told you about Marino. Yeah, you did. And you're his travel agent. I decided. Guys, my opinion is that our squad is okay. Biggest problem is that 4-4-2 is catastrophic for us. We must keep 4-2-3-1, and we need to just bring on Killer in front. The Gari, Echomen, Babulim, Botiak. Now, Roy, I don't know how you feel about the number 10 situation fully, because we've discussed it before, but Foddy can't go on forever, okay? And while he's pretty quick, I don't think he can play this role next season, for example, right? Eric, we know about his injuries. I don't think he can play that number 10 role. He'll get kicked left, right, and center. So, in terms of the system that was suggested there, is it possible to go to 4-2-3-1 now, especially with Johnny's leaving?
Listen. If you have noticed since we started the pod, I try to avoid getting into technical sort of areas. But the truth is that, like Chris mentioned and you mentioned on your show as well, you don't need to have a diploma to see some things. Okay, the fact of the matter is that it's not been working for us. It's not been working for us for various reasons. You need to have players with very specific characteristics to play that, especially your wingers and your fullbacks. They have to cover each other. You have to have your center forwards up front should start putting the pressure, and preferably have players with different characteristics there as well, where they would balance each other.
But there needs to be organisation there. There needs to be organisation. And we've seen practically every goal that we've conceded. It's been so disjointed, so disorganised, basic errors. I'll go back to what I said about Beglivani's goal for Olympiacos against us. He got the ball on the halfway line, Roy, and he ran 25 yards. 25 yards. How can you run 25 yards without anyone around him? No one made the effort to track him. No one made the effort to chase him down. And by the time someone did, it deflected and went in the back of the net. That's just one instance out of 17.
Yeah. But you know what, Stel, I think we are... The reason for this one, okay, obviously it's for the fans and it's the therapy session for the fans, but we are repeating what we've been saying, and I think as far as the goals are concerned, you're gonna do the show with Charlie on Thursday as well. So there's no point, I think, of discussing. So if we want to talk a little bit,
there's one here that might interest you. I think we have to play with the younger players like we did at Olympiacos. They deserve it. What's your opinion? I've spoken about it. You go for it.
My opinion is that Amanda Pramada Bangala. Ulla εγκαλά, ρε φίλε. Άμα είναι μπαγκαλά, είναι εγκαλά. Εδέναμε τον Ολυμπιακό, μπράβο χάμπο μου, μπράβο ασημένε. Αν δεν σε τρώαμε, και βάλουν τους μητσούτς, αν τους έβαλε με τον Απόλλωνα, άφηγε τον Τζορτί στον πάγκο, άφηγε τον Μίξ στον πάγκο, τον Παλαβόν. Κατάλαβες, τον που προσπαθώ να πω. Εν τον που προσπαθώ να πω, ότι στο τέλος της ημέρας, ρε φίλε, άμα έρχονται τα αποτελέσματα, είναι όλα καλά. Αν δεν έρχονται τα αποτελέσματα, πάνε να κάνεις ό,τι θέλεις.
Now, what can we say about this comment here? And there's another one about Shepa. Now, it's obvious to everyone watching that Shepa and both of us, we're all friends, and we love him to bits, and there's that mutual respect there, and we will defend him, of course, as friends, but also as a player. The only thing I can say about Shepa at this moment in time is, number one, he's going through a very, very difficult period in the sense that he's not scoring goals. So naturally, he's going to be made to be the bad guy. Okay. It happened with Dura. He wasn't scoring goals. People shat on him. Shepa's come in. He scored 8 goals last season. We won the title, and he hasn't kicked on from there. But as I said on the last show, can anyone count how many clear-cut opportunities he's had? Now, I can tell you, Apollon the other day was a good opportunity to score. There was one against AEL, I think, in the game at the Tsirio, and there's a few others. But for people to not look at the bigger picture, he's not a striker that will get one chance and score it. I don't know many strikers in the league that will score their first opportunity. A lot of strikers need 3 or 4 chances to score goals. So for him to get a lot of the flack, for me, is unfair. Not for the fact that he's a mate. It's the fact that You know, what do you expect him to do? It's almost as if all the weight of expectation to score goals is on him. I don't see any criticism of, for example, Huberchan for his mistakes. I don't see any criticism of Lang for his mistakes. Now, I'm not telling people this because I want them to divert or deflect the attention of Shepherd, but there are other players all over the pitch that haven't been doing their jobs in their respective positions. But yet, Shepherd seems to be the one that's getting a lot of criticism. Do you want to say something, Roy, or shall we just move on to the next one?
I'll say a general thing that I agree with you. Okay. And okay, for it's not a sensitive subject. I mean, when I speak to Chepa, he also knows that he's not doing well. Okay, he knows it. He doesn't need someone to tell him. He says, I don't have a problem if people say something bad about me. The only thing he doesn't want is for it to become personal. You think that he doesn't care. You think he doesn't want to do better. Is there a single player who doesn't want his team to do well or him to do well as well? And yes, when I mentioned earlier about, you know, renewing contracts, I understand that Chepa is in a list where, unless things change drastically, the chances of him staying here the next season are not a lot. Okay, he's in a list of these players, and like I said, I can tell you about what I think about every single player whose contract's running out. I've got an idea, and I thought about it, and I've got it quite clearly in my mind. I mean, there is a list of players that I still want to give them some time, but as I said last year, for as long as someone has a contract with our team, it doesn't help us shitting on them, because it's not going to. Like, think of it going. Να είσαστε στη δουλειά σας, ρε φίλε, και έρχεται ο μάστρος σας και οι πελάτες και σας λαλούν, είσαστε σκατά, είσαστε άχρηστοι, φύγετε που δαμέ, δεν ξέρεις να κάνεις τίποτε, είσαι παλαβός, είσαι... Ενώ αν πάει κάποιος και σου, ρε φίλε μου, ξέρεις, εν κάνεις πολλά καλά, δεν λίγο να μπορείς να κάνεις, να σε βοηθήσουμε, ίσως αφαίρω τον άνθρωπο δαμέ, να δίπλα σου, να σε βοηθήσει, να σε εξήσει, να σου κάνω. Okay, it's not easy, okay? I don't know what else to say. We've been saying this, δηλαδή, άμα μια ομάδα κάνει μέσον όρον 7 τελικές και οι 3 στο στόχο, και most of them are half chances, what do you expect? Εχτες ο Τσέπα είχε φάση που ήταν πίσω στην άμυνα μας, στην άμυνα μας. Ναι, έχασε, έπρεπε να έχει 3 γκολ, ας πούμε, 4. Πέτε μου, εσείς, άμα δεν κάνεις ευκαιρίες, να μου θέλεις να κάνεις, τι θέλεις, ας πούμε.
Well, this is it. When you've got crosses that are too deep, or crosses that are going, or corners that don't even beat the... How many corners have we had this season? 76 or something like that? And not one goal to show for it from a corner? Okay, I think Jan got one in the Europa, the Conference League against, was it Karabag? Or was that from a free kick? I can't even remember. But even the set pieces are fucking predictable. Do you know what I mean? But this is what I keep saying. If you're a striker, how do you expect to score goals if you're not given the service? And how do you expect to score goals as a centre forward, right, when you don't have another striker with you? Sure, we play 4-4-2, but it's more like a 4-4-1-1 if you're playing Foddy, because he's not an out-and-out striker. So where's the support? You can't have one centre forward against 2 centre-backs. You can't, especially if there's no runners.
It's the same thing with, man. This is the same thing with Fabi. When last year our defense was solid, Fabi had a couple of saves in the game, and he did it really well. But now, if the other teams are creating 7, 8, 9, 10 chances, opportunities a game, of course he's not going to keep a clean sheet. So it's the other way around on the other side of the pitch with the striker. If we don't feed the striker, or he feeds off scraps, like you said 100 times. And again, I'm not saying that, you know, he's having a good season or whatever, but try and see the bigger picture. Try and understand some things before you judge somebody. And yeah, at the end of the day, like Stel said, other than 40s and Kaku, I don't see anyone either that has improved since last year or has stepped up or has been equally good as last year.
A lot of
Maybe
them have
some
gone
players.
backwards. A lot of them have gone backwards, and it's a fact. This isn't me trying to sugarcoat it. It's fact.
And when we were saying that we were a team, and that's what we meant. You cannot be considered a team just by individual εκλάμψεις κάποιων παιχτών. Yeah, there have been games where maybe Lang started off the season slow, then for a few games he was good. Hubo the same, maybe 2-3 games was good, but mostly he's been disappointing. Jordi the same. Mix παίζει έναν, τραυματίζεται κάμουν έξω. Ο Πασιρού ακόμα δεν τον είδαμε. Ο Ζαχαρί ο Ψάρτης ακόμα είναι πρόσπερα. Ο Ιάγη τίποτε. Ο Ιούστε παίξε 2,5 παιχνίδια καλά. Ο Les Jackson δεν το ίδιο καλός. Ο Shehu, it took some time, and even though he's improved defensively, pushing up, he didn't. Loizos still is struggling to... He's in a procedure where he's trying to be a more complete player. Loizos, Johnny's only recently started playing to his form that we were used to. Ποιος είπε, ο Φάμπι το ίδιο. Δηλαδή, ούλοι κολλήσαμε, πάσε, οκ, ναι, θέλεις, γι' αυτόν άλλωστε λαλούμε ότι θέλουμε κάποιον που να βοηθήσει να κάνουμε create opportunities. We need someone to create the opportunities. And yeah, if every game Chepa or Dura or Gagu miss 4 or 5 clear-cut chances, then I'll say, yeah, they're not good enough. If in like after 15 games, you can only tell me about 3 or 4 opportunities he missed that he should have done better, then it's not good enough generally from the team. It's not just him. So why are we just pointing a finger there?
You're right. Absolutely right. And the comments were hijacked. We were hijacked again. He's always hijacking us. Hijacked, mate. Hijacked. It's like Die Hard, isn't it? Roy's internet connection is kicking in and out, and we're screwed. Anyway, I'm going to continue. When Roy comes back, I'm gonna chat to him.
Rick, would you like to say hi?
You there? Your internet's stuck in. Hello.
Mine.
Oh, there you are. You're back now.
Hello, Stel.
You're back now.
It is. There for some reason it's.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Ducks.
Can
because
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're grainy. Emberaz, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine. Well, there's a comment here. Our best players are 35 years old plus. We can't wait for these guys to run and cover for 90 minutes. We need young and fresh legs in every area of the pitch. Now, that's a very good point. And Andreas put one here saying, still mistakes are part of the game. The defenders make mistakes. What worries me more is that the fact that we're not dangerous offensively. Now, okay, going back to what was said about the 35-year-old plus players, this segues me onto this comment here. Where is it? Hubo is different because of his age. Right, I get it. But why is a player who, let's be honest, he hasn't been great this season, okay? Why is he practically played week in, week out? Because when you're 35, 36 as a central defender, sure, you can play, but can you play against pace? Can you play against strength? This season, I've seen Sadiq make a mug out of Hubo. I've seen Hubo concede penalties because of lack of concentration. The own goal against Apollon, which, all right, I'd say that was more unlucky than anything, because if he didn't stick out his leg, that could have gone anywhere, right? But he's making mistake after the mistake. And this goes back to the original comment from, I think, who was it? Andrea, where he said about 35-year-old players, you know. Roy, you remember this. Cyprus used to be the league where you have 35-year-olds coming to finish their career. It's completely changed now. You're getting younger players. You're getting hungrier players. You're getting fitter players. The structure's changed.
I don't agree 100% with this perspective, because last year they were still that age. It was with players of that age that we had. Okay, there was a mix of some youngsters as well in the squad, but it was with Eric at 33, 34, with Jordi, with Hubo, with Fodi. Okay, Fabi's a goalkeeper, he's 33. So I think Cyprus, especially when you're not playing in Europe as well, for a 35-year-old who's a good professional, takes care of his body, and trains regularly and didn't really have a lot of injuries, it's not that hard to make a difference. Okay, Ike as well has got players who are of an older age. But yeah, I do understand that once a game becomes more physical, it becomes a game of pace and all of that. You cannot depend too much, especially if you've got 3 or 4, sometimes even 5 players, 33 plus. Okay, that I agree. But for a 34 or 35-year-old player to come in the Cypriot League, if he's still fit, and he's going to play 25 games, 30 games one season, it's not bad, it's not bad if he was used to a different pace. But saying that,
but does Hubo look like that player that you're talking about?
If we're talking, I'll tell you what, Jordi is a player that we know he takes care a lot of his body, the way he eats. You can see him. He's dry, he's clean, but it's a different story. Fordis needs to be protected, and he can't play 90 minutes every week. Hubo, it took a toll on him. He hasn't stopped playing football since last year with his national team. So we didn't do that, and it goes back to the strength and conditioning trainer leaving the club as well. It was the COVID, it was the prolonged season, the season that stopped, and they didn't play for 5 months, and then they started playing again. So there's a lot of things to consider.
Can I just pause you 2 seconds? Can I just ask you to talk? Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, but when a player is 35, 36 years old, their training regime isn't going to be the same as a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old. So does that mean that they're not training differently like they should? They should be training a different way as opposed to the way that they're training with the rest of the team? Because if they're being trained the same way as a 25-year-old, for example, of course it's going to batter them. Now, I'm not saying that they're yeri and they can't run, but what I'm saying is they aren't as energetic as a youngster is, and perhaps they can't keep up with the pace as much. This isn't a disrespect. This isn't me just shitting on. I'm just saying that when a player reaches that age, they got to train differently. Look at Ryan Giggs, for example. Yeah, he played till he was like 40. All right, I'm not going to discuss him, his personal life, whatever, because I don't like the guy. But what I'm saying is he played until he was like 40 years old. But his training was different. He wasn't doing the same training as Wayne Rooney. He wasn't doing the same training as Danny Welbeck, all these other players. So are these two lads or the others that are in their mid-30s training the same way as the rest of the team? I don't know. This is what I'm saying.
Maybe they do it few days a week, and then the others but this is part of football. This is part of the specialization of modern football on a daily basis, and how you train and how nothing is left to chance. So yeah, obviously no one can beat time, and it's something that I would like to see us dropping the average age of the team in key areas, because as I mentioned earlier, in the end of the season there's another 10 contracts, if I'm not mistaken, and amongst these players, it's Hubo who's 36, it's Fortis who's 36, it's Jordi who's 36, it's Ernest who's almost 34, Eric who's 34. So I'm pretty sure that some of these players are not going to be with us next season. Okay, some of them are not going to be. Best case scenario is, like I said, you tell them, listen, boys, we've got another 15 league games and some, I don't know, 5 or 6 for the cup if we make it all the way. So you've got 20 games to prove that you want to stay, or you can be useful for the next season as well. Okay, but for me personally, I would like to see young blood, maybe some players a bit more thirsty coming in. Players who want to prove, who are not at the end of their career. But saying that, I'm not saying that I want everyone to leave, because they also offer things that, off the pitch or with the youngsters, the experience, talking to them, you can see that it's blatant with Fodis and Jordi especially, how they've helped the youngsters develop as well, how they see them as role models, But at the end of the day, you can't just you can't have 6 or 7. You said it yourself the game against Olympiago. If Fodis and Jordi were playing in the middle of the park that day, it's an age of 72, just 2 players. We had 4 players that were 76. So I'm not saying you're going to be playing with 18 and 19-year-olds all the time, because you need the balance, you need the experience, but at the end of the day, I think at the end of the summer, and some of these players who have reached, an age, like I said, 35, 36, 34, are going to leave, and hopefully we're going to bring some new blood as well.
All right. We've gone on for 56 minutes. There have been a lot of comments, and thank you everyone for tuning in. There's one more thing I want to address very quickly, Roy. Gusu, he's been out most of the season. He played against Dinamo Zagreb. I think it was the last game he played, wasn't it? Dinamo Zagreb?
Yeah.
And he got the injury. Now, I want you to cast your mind back to a conversation you and I had. How long ago was it? We talk a lot. But it was last season. I think it must have been halfway through the season when I said perhaps Gusu will be a centre back moving forward, and that's one thing that we briefly touched on. Do you think now, with the defensive issues that we have, with possibly Hubo leaving, with Banayodo obviously coming through, we've got Lang signing a new contract. We've got Lang, Banayodo, Yuste. Yuste is probably going to be there next season. We need a full central defender. I said we lack leaders. Do you think Gusu, when he comes back, will be a central defender, or will he be a central midfielder?
Listen, Gusu, I think next year is going to be, I'm not mistaken, is going to be either 25 or 26. He started playing first team football with Salamina since the age of 16 and a half, 17. And this kid has played in all positions possible. Actually, he even played as goalkeeper one game when a keeper of us got sent off in his first season, if I'm not mistaken. But he didn't play centre forward. Okay, and this thing, I think, on the one hand, delayed his development in some aspects, because he would change this position. He would play right back, he would play central defender, he would play central midfielder, sometimes he would play as a number 8. And this thing, on the one hand, helps you have a better understanding of the game and appreciate what others do in different positions. But I think that the best position he can play and offer is the midfield. Saying that, defensive midfield. Saying that, last year he seemed to been able to control. He was over enthusiastic in an attempt to prove that he deserves to be a permanent in the starting 11. And it was easy for others as well to get to his head, to and I don't believe. And this thing, it's a lot more dangerous when you're last man, when you're a central defender. unless he comes back and he's a different person and he calms down. Because if you remember the game against Dijk last year, the beginning of the season, when he gave away 2 penalties, that's not the kind of defender you want to be doing these mistakes. But then in the middle of the park, I was thinking of Kusu when you said about Pehlivanis just running in the middle of the park.
He'd have smashed him. He'd have smashed him. Smashed him into Kekides.
But that's the thing. Kusu, he's gonna be running after you till he either fouls you or gets the ball. There's no way that Kusu is gonna turn his back and he's gonna think, okay, there's someone else there. He doesn't stop running and chasing his man.
It's also the leadership, though, Roy. You could see that he's always talking. He's always, geeing up his players, and that's something that we've lacked in such a huge way this season.
Yeah. And I think he's likable between both the Cypriots and the foreigners in the team. Everyone respects and loves Kusu. So for me, I've been saying it since the beginning of the season. He's the player I've missed the most out of everyone. I'm talking about the ones who are in the squad.
There's a question here, a really interesting question, actually. What game do you think was a turning point for us to fail? I'm guessing that's where we kind of gathered that it's not meant to be. I think that's what Donera's asking anyway.
For me, it's I can't pinpoint one game because, like I've mentioned before, we had 5 or 6 opportunities to come back when the other teams have been dropping points, and we said that this is what we've been saying since the beginning of the podcast. We need to start winning games. We need to start winning games. Oh, if we win this game, if we win the next 2 games, and every time we've had this opportunity, they let us down. And unfortunately, the problem is that they don't seem to be able to convince us that they can do something different. I wish and I hope that things are gonna αν ξέρω, μπορεί ρε φίλε. Εγώ λαλώ σου ότι ακόμα και χτες το πολλοσα πριν, αν έδερνες τον Απόλλωνα χτες, θα πιένες για πρωτάθλημα και να πεις πάω τρένο για πρωτάθλημα. Αλλά ρε φίλε, το momentum, η Ομόνοια φέτος μια φορά μόνο κερδίσε 3 συνεχόμενα παιχνίδια. Εν αποκτήσαν ούτε momentum, ούτε να πεις έχω την τύχη και εκείνον και να... Εν μπορείς να παίζεις ρε φίλε και να χάνεις. Και παραπάνω πουλά, είναι έναν παιχνίδι. Είναι η απόδοση γενικά, εν τα λάθη που κάνουμε. So it's not one game for me. It's generally the repetition of the same mistakes over and over and over again and not being able to correct them. So
yeah, for me, I don't know if you remember. Obviously, I was out in Cyprus actually. I did the show in the hotel in the downstairs reception, but it was Bayek. That was the first game when I had the feeling it wasn't to be, because as I was saying in the show, it was just the same shit time and time again, and I stated so many instances whereby it was basic errors, passing and moving wasn't happening. It was just so disjointed. But what did it for me there, the game where I just said that's it, was Doxa. And we did the show when we called it like bye Barathina, because it wasn't just the manner in which we conceded the goals, be it Sadiq's goal, be it Jan conceding the penalty. It was the missed opportunities when we could have had 3 or 4 goals in that second half. We could have had a couple in the first half, and it was just a combination of everything: the defensive mistakes, the midfield being disjointed, the wastefulness in front of the goal. I mean, look, EI's miss was bad, but Eric putting the ball in the stands from 6 yards out, come on, like it ain't going to be your day, and it ain't going to be your season when things like this happen week in, week out.
Anyway, the season is not done. I mean, there are still things we can chase. Firstly, the cup, and for me, I was going to say I disagree 100% with what you said about not wanting Europe. For me, I want Europe every year. I want Europe every year, man. Not just because of the experiences, not just because I believe you do become better by playing with better teams. It helps you both become it helps the brand name of the team, and it also helps you in the derby games in Cyprus as well, and you build a different mentality for various reasons, obvious reasons, the money and all of that. So for me, it would be a disaster if we don't make top 6. And I can't remember a team that won the league twice in a row. Okay, I'm not going to repeat the same thing. The first year, not officially. The second one, officially, and had such a fall the next season when everyone expected us to just widen the gap between the others, and we've been like that. So for me, we have to fight the remaining 5 games, which are very, very important. Try and make it in the top 6, and if we manage to rank 4th, but I want the cup, and I think we have a good opportunity with the cup.
Well, do you know what? I get what you're saying about the European situation, but the things I kind of shot myself in the foot because I didn't clarify why I didn't want European football. The reason is simple, well, for me, in my head anyway, is with the amount of games that we have in Europe, okay, it's very difficult to mount a title challenge. I know we did it last season, okay, and people are going to say, well, that blows your theory out the window. But winning the title is less challenging than retaining it. When you win the title, you get the Champions League qualifiers. We dropped out of that. Then we had the Europa League qualifiers. We dropped out of that. Then we went into the Conference League, and it was game after game, and it was killing our players. It was absolutely killing them. The reason why I don't want European football next season, it gives us the summer to reevaluate everything, to bring in the right players, and just mount an assault for the title, because it's only 1 game a week. It's not 2 games a week. And I'll tell you this for now. Next season, whether it be AEK, whether it be Apollon, whether it be Aris in Europe, whether it be them lot, right? They're all going to struggle. They're all going to struggle. If you look at Anorthos here, right? Just like we did last season, when we got knocked out of Europe, now they've got knocked out of Europe, they've kicked on. But the difference is, between us and them this season, they've strengthened in areas that they needed to strengthen. And they've got a game changer in Amevada that has carried them all season. We haven't had that this season. We haven't had that. So again, it goes back to transfers. It goes back to restructuring. But again, we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know if Henningberg's job is safe. We don't know what's been going on. There's a question here from Dimitri. We're going to wrap this up in just a moment. The last bit says, why do you think Andrea last night threw Berg under the bus? Now, is that a question to say, why do I think he did it? Or do you believe that he did it, and why did he do it? That's what I need to know, because I can give you my... I'm not saying that Andrea did. I'm suggesting that merely he was instructed to say this when it came to transfers. Does that make sense? I'm not saying that he plucked that out of the air. I'm just guessing that someone said, if you're asked about transfers, this is what we want you to say. Does that make sense? I can't hear you. You're muted.
I understand. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Actually, there's internal problems and there is external problems as well. Okay.
Do you see a bright future though, Roy? Because to be honest, I'm not one of these doom lords, and I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, it's the end of the world and we're not going to bounce back. Do you know what? To be honest, given the last couple of seasons and given all the shit that's gone on, I think we've hit rock bottom, and the only way is up, so to speak. And I'm honestly very, very optimistic about next season. As I said at the end of the last show I did on my own, we will be back next season. We will be back. and there's nothing that people are going to do to stop it. I'm telling you, mark my words.
Okay, I'm going to quickly say what I want to say and let's wrap it up because it's been over an hour and 10 minutes now.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to believe that what happened the last 2.5 years at Omonoia is the exception of the rule. Because before that, let's just a kind reminder to everyone. Remember που ήμασταν πριν, θυμηθείτε που ήμασταν πριν και να μπορούμε πριν να μπει ο Μπέρκ μέσα στην ομάδα και όχι μόνο ο Μπέρκ και οι άλλοι που διοικούσαν και βοηθούσαν και ο Λάρκου και ο Σίμος και όλοι. Εντάξει, with the uncertainty around Papastavru, with the uncertainty around Berg, with the uncertainty around the players who are running out of contracts, you don't know. So for me, I want to be optimistic, but on the other hand, I have witnessed really hard times as an Omonoia fan for many years, and that's what scares me. This is what scares me more than anything, that I don't want to go back to να είμαι πέμπτος, έκτος, not being an attractive destination, not scoring goals, conceding easy goals. And I don't know if this is a domino effect at the end of the day. Let's just hope that, just by bringing in a few players and, giving faith to Berg or whatever, things are going to change. But if we start destroying what we've built, I don't know if I can be very optimistic. But we'll have to wait and see, Refile.
Well, look, as Andrea...
People come, people go. Μόνο ο κόσμος της Ομονίας μην εισπίζαμε, Refile.
Exactly. Players come, players leave, managers leave, whatever, but the fans are always going to be there. But, if we are to believe what Andrea said, that there's money available, then I don't see why this summer we just can't go out there and bring in the right players to suit the right system and to go for the title, our title. Roy, thank you very much. Wrap it up, φίλε μου.
Εντάξει, σήμερα ήταν μια εκπομπή που θέλαμε να την αφιερώσουμε σε εσάς και να προσπαθήσουμε να το καθιερώσουμε έτσι μια φορά τον μήνα να κάνουμε ένα εκπομπή καθαρά δική σας. Εγγύσαμε λίγο τα θέματα με χτεσινή εκπομπή του Total Green με τις κουβέντες που είπε ο Ανδρέας με ο Γιώργο και τον Κώστα. Δυστυχώς γεννιούνται παραπάνω ερωτήματα μέρα με την ημέρα παρά απαντήσεις. Πρέπει να καταλάβουμε εμείς σαν οπαδοί ότι δεν μπορούμε να έχουμε ούτε τις απαντήσεις που να μας ικανοποιούν για πολλούς και διάφορους λόγους. Πρέπει να δούμε και να δείξουμε πίστη σε τούτους που έχουν την ομάδα. Έτσι σημαίνει ότι πρέπει να συμφωνούμε 100% και τούτο η έλλειψη επικοινωνίας προκαλεί παραπάνω νευρικότητα και θυμό και ισοπαίδωση πολλές φορές, αλλά δεν είναι ανάγκη να ισοπαιδώσουμε τα πάντα. Τούτο που προσπαθούσα να πω και να περάσουμε και σαν podcast το μήνυμα του το πράγμα. Ισορροπία στις αντιδράσεις μας. Εντάξει, να είμαστε πίσω από την ομάδα στο βαθμό του δυνατού που μπορούμε και να κάνουμε υπομονή. Δηλαδή, θα αναγκάσεις τον Παπασταύρου να πάει να πιάει παίχτη επειδή μουρμουράς του. Θα κάνεις τον Μπέρκ να πάει να πιάει παίχτη αύριο επειδή ευκήγεν ο Ρόις και ο Στέλ και έκανα podcast, ας πούμε. Οπότε, στο τέλος της ημέρας, ας σταθούμε ξανά δίπλα από την ομάδα μας, να μην την αφήσουμε να την προστατέψουμε εμείς πρώτα, επειδή τώρα η Ομόνοια έχει και εσωτερικά προβλήματα και έχει και εξωτερικά προβλήματα. Εκείνοι που είναι έξω που προσπαθούν να χτυπήσουν την ομάδα να μην πιένει καλά, αλλά εμείς πρέπει να δείξουμε ότι δεν θέλουμε άλλο civil war μες στην Ομόνοια. Εγώ είμαι του Μπέρκ, εγώ δεν είμαι του Μπέρκ. Εγώ είμαι του Παπασταύρου, εγώ δεν είμαι του Παπασταύρου. Εγώ είμαι του Λάρκου, δεν είμαι του Λάρκου. Εγώ θέλω να φύγει εκείνος και να έρθει άλλος. Να μην το κάνουν το πράγμα, ρε φίλε. Μόνο χαρά διούμε στους αντιπάλους μας μόνο το πράγμα. Η Ομόνοια πάνω απ' όλα, εντάξει, και να δούμε τι μπορούμε να κάνουμε. Τούτο το πράγμα, μόνο Ομόνοια, μόνο Σίλα, πάμε Σίλακα μου.